so I know Boris. I like him. I've liked him for a long time. I think he'd do a very good job. I know Jeremy. I think he'd do a very good job. I don't know Michael, but would he do a good job, Jeremy? Tell me.
All right, President Trump having a little fun, sounding off on the race to replace Theresa May as British Prime Minister and leader of the Conservative Party. That was the news conference with Mrs. May this morning. A number of issues covered, whether it was Brexit, whether it was tariffs, Mexico, you name it. We're joined by Lester Munson for analysis from BGR Group International, where he's the principal. And Lester, it's good to see you. I want to focus, though, on the race to be the next Prime Minister and really a Conservative Party leader, then Prime Minister. I watched a little bit as we look at Boris Johnson. Jeremy Hunt was the Jeremy, and and the Michael that you heard referred to there on the screen from President Trump. Watching the British media, at least, and some of the odds makers and what have you, Boris Johnson's a fairly clear front runner now, is he not? Or
well, his numbers are the best of the 13 or so folks who have declared they're interested in this job. He's the most eccentric of all of the candidates, and the British people tend to like eccentric politicians. He's got a lot going for him. He was born in New York. He had American citizenship. He's an excellent poet. He's been known to compose lyrics or limericks on TV and win awards for them. So he's got a lot going for him.
Yeah, Melissa's like that. She does limericks, and a lot of people know that. He is a piece of work, is your point, I guess, Boris Johnson. But
and he also has a great haircut.
He does. He does. And, on that point, I guess, he's been compared to President Trump in some ways. Right. Not necessarily the haircut. Maybe I think it's more the politics. But it does bring up kind of a larger, serious point. What would Boris Johnson becoming Prime Minister mean for the relationship between the U.S. and the U.K.? The kind of glass half full version of that is, if these two guys are aligned and Great Britain gets out of the EU, you have more of a bilateral relationship, then maybe, be closer than ever, at least in the short term. Is that the right way to read it?
I think you're exactly right, and I think Boris Johnson is trying to thread a needle here where he wants to demonstrate that he can get along with a President Trump, but he's not going to be standing right next to him. You notice they're not actually meeting in person during this trip.
Right.
That's on purpose by Boris Johnson because he knows that while Trump has a lot of energy behind him, he's not terrifically popular in Great Britain right now. So he's being very political, I think very smart about this whole thing. It's important for Great Britain to be close to the United States, and the British people know that, even if they don't really like to admit it in public, and he's going straight at that issue here. Yeah, he could have met,
to your point, and he said, well, I have a campaign event. He made an excuse, essentially, it sounded like, so he didn't meet with President Trump. As a final kind of point on all of this, we've done so many segments on Brexit, as you know, and what that means and everything else. How are people making too much of kind of the moment in history for the UK, or is this a dangerous time? I mean, as you say, Boris Johnson, your term was he's eccentric. He could be the next prime minister at some point down the line. If a Jeremy Corbyn were to get in, if something happened, that's a guy with a socialist belief system. And again, you have Brexit, which now I guess the odds go up that maybe there's a hard Brexit. Is this a dangerous time for the UK, or if the people who are saying that making too much of it?
Well, it's probably a little bit dangerous. It's probably more interesting than it is dangerous. Okay. I think if it is Boris Johnson who becomes the next prime minister, he's got a couple of advantages. As you pointed out, Jeremy Corbyn's the alternative. He's not a very good alternative at all. He's anti-American. He's anti-Semitic. He's got some real issues. And also the British people, I think, while they don't have a unanimous approach to Brexit, they are tired of the debate. This has been going on for 3 years. There's some exhaustion going on here. So I think the next prime minister, and I hope, will have a little more flexibility than Theresa May did.
Interesting. They just want to get it over with, probably.
Exactly.
Many of them, and move on. Good to see you, Lester. Interesting analysis. Thanks for coming on with us.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great.